Okay, we are now ready to see how to consume the data we have prepared in DataSphere. The first thing we need to do is to establish a live connection in SAC to DataSphere. We can do it here in the connections window. There is a specific button that we can click in order to, let's say, select the type of connection we would like to create. We can select SAP DataSphere, and in this window it's very easy. We can enter a name for the connection and all the details of our DataSphere instance. Okay, now that the live connection from SAC to DataSphere is created, we can consume the analytic models we have prepared in DataSphere. Let's have a look at the story we have prepared for the urban public transport use case. So this is the first dashboard. You probably remember this geomap. It's the one that we have presented in the introductory demo and that we have talked about during the presentation. So let's see how we can build it very briefly. So let's edit the story, and then we can basically add a new responsive page. You have just to select from the list of available widgets the geomap, and once you have done that, you can add a layer, the one that you want to visualize, and here you are free, let's say, to choose the data that you want to display from this list. This is basically the list of models, analytic models that we have prepared in DataSphere and that are accessible through the live connection. For example, urban public transport model is the one that contains all the needed data. From here, it is easy to, let's say, select the geolocalization columns that you have prepared. You can choose in this menu, for example, the inbound or outbound buses, so you can also display the stop locations. From this button, you can basically inspect all the objects that are available in the analytic model in terms of dimensions and also measures. Now let's go back to the dashboard that we have already created for our use case here. As you can see, we added several content layers, one for the road disruptions, one for the stop locations, one to display the bus locations in the outbound and inbound directions. An important thing that I would like to show here is the use of tooltip messages. The tooltip messages are basically responsible for let's say, making this dashboard interactive, and so they had the possibility, let's say, to get this information that you see here, for example, about one of the buses on line 155. It's very easy. Let's click add layer. Once you have decided the dimension that you want to show, let's say the location dimension required, then you can go down, you can enable the tooltip, and you can decide which kind of information you want to show in the message. So you can select measures but also dimensions. Another important point about this dashboard is the possibility to set up an auto refresh. This is important if we want to have a dashboard that is able to update in real time automatically. This can be done very easily here. You have to click to configure auto refresh, and from this menu you can enable the auto refresh, and you can also decide the refresh interval. In our case, we have set it to 2 minutes, because if you remember, the pipeline created in Data Intelligence to ingest the bus locations was scheduled every two minutes. Another responsive page we have created here can give us the opportunity to explain other important concept in SAC. Let's click on speed analysis. You probably remember also this dashboard from the introductory demo. This is used to visualize the average bus speeds hourly and daily. This is also used as a very simple anomaly detection tool, because here you see the comparison between the current speeds with the let's say average calculated using the historical data. So in order to build this dashboard, basically we need to further aggregate our data, and we need to create additional calculated measures. This can be done directly in the front end in SAC, and let's see how this can be done. For example, here you see the calculations, the calculated measures that we've already created and displayed. Actually, it's very easy. You need to add measure here. Here you see the list of all the items already created. If you want to create a new calculation, you have to click on add calculation here, and from this menu you can decide what to do. You can create an aggregation or, for example, a calculated measure. In our case, we need to first aggregate per hour and daily our data, so we need to create some new aggregations. Let's see, for example, the already available aggregations. For example, the total distance per hour. Let's inspect it. So here basically we are selecting from our analytic model the original measure, for example the distance in kilometers. We can decide the operation, in this case is the sum, and we can decide also the aggregation dimensions to be used. Once we have created this aggregation, this new aggregation, and once we have all the other aggregations needed for the measure, for the new calculated measure, then we can, let's say, create it. For example, we can inspect the average speed, for example, per day. Okay, and here you can see that in the calculation editor you can select the aggregations that you have already created for the time and also for the traveled distance, and you can basically define a new formula. Once you have done this new calculated column or field can be used in the chart here inside SAC.